From the USA to Europe and into the Caribbean, all the world over, this is Caribbean Gospel Radio FM, keeping you inspired and informed.
Can I take a moment to tell you about an affordable, accredited, and friendly place that will educate, equip, and develop you into a leader that will impact the world? That place is Emmett Global Theological Seminary and College. Emmett means truth in Hebrew, and for those seeking a training ground that prepares real people for ministry in a real world, Emmett is here for you. With fully online classes at emmettseminary.com, you can choose from 32 specialized certificate courses, Diploma of Theology, Associate of Theology, Bachelor of Theology, Master of Theology, Master of Sacred Studies, Doctor of Sacred Studies, and Doctor of Theology degree programs. Emmett Seminary offers exceptional biblical education from some of the world's leading educators in an environment which fosters higher learning both spiritually and intellectually for career, ministry, and character development. Visit emmettseminary.com today for more information on one of the most extraordinary values ever offered in Christian higher education. That's emmettseminary.com, E-M-E-T, seminary.com. Our site is very user-friendly, and advisors are ready to help. emmettseminary.com, delivering absolute Bible truth in this eon.
Peace and take away all my A blessed and pleasant evening to you. Happy Monday to you all, wherever you are. Good evening, good evening. I'll be there to check in with you guys soon. Just give me a moment back here. I do a whole lot back here. Please forgive me. I'll check in with you momentarily. Good evening, good morning, good night, whatever time it is in your neck of the woods. I want to welcome you to our brand new program starting today, The Law and You. It is indeed a legal program. So, of course, you can bring your legal questions as long as they're in the same field. Every second and fourth Monday, we will be doing our immigration program. And we're still working out a suitable time for our family law program. Hosting with me this evening is attorney Georgia Lawrence, who will be on momentarily. Just doing the preliminaries, all right? Hopefully you have already gotten your questions in to her. She did give you an email address to send it to. There it is on the screen. Every second and fourth Monday of each month, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., The Law and You. This evening, it will be discussion on immigration matters with our immigration attorney, Georgia Lawrence. Hopefully, you got a chance to send her your question. You can also call in on air 404-647-1706 to talk to her, all right? I'm so grateful to God that He has allowed us to do this. You know, immigration is a big thing, big something right here in the U.S. of A. Big things. And sometimes, you know, we just can't afford it, right, financially, to get all the little nitty-gritty on that. So we want to say thanks to attorney Georgia Lawrence for lending us her expertise. Stay right there, don't you go anywhere. Gonna get a prayer in this evening before we even start. And for some of us, immigration is a warfare issue. So let's hit it here.
Father, we praise you. In the name of Jesus, we give you glory. You who sits in the heavens and rule in the affairs of men. Your eyes go to and fro the earth, beholding evil and good. We give you thanks for this day, Jesus. Today I thank God for his goodness and that his mercy endureth forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. He whom hath redeemed us from the curse of the law and from the end of the enemy. Today upon the authority and the shed blood of Jesus Christ and the word of God which is settled in heaven, which is his throne, I decree and declare every weapon fashioned against us can never prosper. I decree and declare that I shall not fear though an awesome camp against me. My confidence is in God alone. I decree and declare that every plans of the enemy against my life has been aborted in the name of Jesus. That the enemy of my soul is defeated and confused. Now we send back distress, depression, oppression, sickness, diseases, poverty, lack, suicide, envy, jealousy, malice, and strife, and every diabolical assignment of the enemy. We send them back to the enemy in the name of Jesus. We decree and declare that the God of war, Jehovah Sabaoth, the Almighty God, everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, will rise upon our behalf and take full control of his people. Father, in the name of Jesus, we ask this day, we petition your throne. Go into your arsenal and pull out your weapons of mass destruction. Divide and plunder, destroy the enemy. Leave no way of escape for them. And those who despise the counsel of the Most High God, shut down their towers, expose their hiding places, reveal their strategies to your people. Creep upon them suddenly, O God, with your right hand of righteousness, and free the souls of your people from their torment. Like a mighty army, we join together, O God, and in the name of Jesus, we rejoice in you. We exalt and extol you, who uses the cloud as your chariot. Jesus. As citizens of your kingdom, we exalt you because the victory is ours and the glory belongs to you. Ride on, King Jesus. Ride on. We thank you. Victory is ours.
I know our hearts are filled with joy this evening. I want to welcome each and every one. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. The beautiful attorney at law, Georgia Lawrence, is with us, and we will be joining her momentarily. I want to send a shout out to those who are with me or with us on YouTube and Facebook. Can you hear me, attorney? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Good. All right. Getting ready to put you on air. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go on air. Let me hop on over to Facebook, and I'll be right back. Attorney Claudia Thompson, good evening to you. Good evening. She says, welcome, Attorney Lawrence. Brenda Greaves, good evening to you. My sister, Dr. Danny Perkins, how you do? I'm so happy to see you, girl. You know you can't stay away this long from me, you know. Good evening to you, my sister, Dr. Perkins. Dacia James, my beautiful sister up in New York. Good evening, Sister Dacia. Nicole Williams, good night to you, Sissy Boo Boo. Marcia Gerald, welcome. Marjorie Lamons, I haven't seen you in a while. You haven't been in a minute. She says it's snowing in Utah right now. Enjoy, all right? Joy Dixon, good evening to you. Andrea Lachana. I'm running down because I want to get the attorney on the line. Rory Winter, good evening. Pastor Dr. Dana Garcia in Tabor City. How you doing? Good evening to you. Providence Joan Messiah, my sister. Good evening. Marjorie Lemons. Good evening to you, Paulette Marie Spencer. Good evening. Welcome. Tara Ramsamouj. Welcome. Salma Gugin. Welcome. Shari Zeloff. Welcome to the program. Who else is here? And that was Judith Gale that was doing that prayer, all right? That's Judith Gale, and it's called Warfare Prayer. All right, I got some folks over here with me on YouTube. YouTube family, just stick and stay right there, all right? I got to get you up on the phone because you are blocked on my computer with my Zoom stuff, and I don't want to mess with it, all right? I want to welcome you to the program this evening, The Law and You. It is our first one. And Attorney Georgia Lawrence, as I say, thank God for her. She has agreed to come on in and just, give her expertise to us on this forum. And so, guys, I want you to support. We're going to bring her on. She's going to tell us who she is again. But I want you to support because she has her law practice. All right. So what we get here, we're not going to get everything here, but she will give us, general information and stuff like that. And of course, as you see right here on our flyer, you can call her. You can actually email her, georgialaw21@gmail.com. That's Georgia Law. It's right here on the flyer. If at any moment you need it, it is there. And what you can do, when we're not on air, you can also send her email so she can get your questions, answers to your questions together before she comes back on. So for her, it's going to be every other week. We'll have her second and fourth Mondays. All right, guys. And look, if you're being blessed, please go ahead and send what we call it again. We got PayPal. We have Cash App, whatever, and just earmark it. Said this is for attorney, so we can get that to her, because every little mickle makes a muckle and everything takes time, preparation, and all of that. Okay, so she's here with us this evening, and I'm going to put her on the air. You can give me a thumbs up when you're ready, pretty lady, so I can put you on air. All right, let me make sure I have everything here. Oh, my YouTube family. I'm definitely gonna pull up YouTube on my phone so that I can say hello to you guys, because right now I am not seeing you. I know you're there, but I don't want to mess with my Zoom to get back there. Next thing you know, I can't find back attorney. So y'all stay right there with me this evening. All right, let me bring on the pretty lady. Here she is. Good evening to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it works. It works. All right. I can hear you back here. And that was my biggie. I was wondering, Lord, am I going to get this? Because I'm using a whole different, thingamajig to do all of this. It's all right. You don't need to know what that is. But I want to welcome you to the program. Pretty as always. And I want to thank you so much for this. I'm back here. I'm the facilitator. I'll bring the music up when you want the music up. Whatever. Just say it and I will be right here to do it. This is your program. This is your time. So just go ahead. She's like, really? I'm here. I'm not going to leave you on your own. So you just go ahead and you just run the show. I'm right here. I'll chime in when needs be. All right. We're going to take phone calls. We're going to see if we can do that.
Yes, we can.
All right. So our phone number, guys, running on the ticker below. We can have two of them, 404-647-1706. That's the phone in studio. And we also have a WhatsApp number that you can call us on, 44792-730-5600. So you call us on either of those two numbers when it is time for her to take some calls, all right? And if you have questions, just go ahead and type them in. We can take typed questions on Facebook and YouTube, right?
Yes, but I'm not able to see the questions.
Yes, I will read them. I'll be able to see them. I'll read them for you. I'll be your engineer.
Okay.
I'll let you do the talking, and then I can get all of that in for you.
Okay.
How's that? All right. Go right ahead and talk to the people. Tell them who you are again.
Sounds good. So first off, you're seeing Derek Fraser. My name is Georgia Lawrence.
Uh-oh. Good thing we block it out. They're not seeing you.
Oh, okay.
I got attorney Georgia Lawrence on it there. Good.
Yes, because I can see it on my end. But
yes.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Dr. Monica. Thank you for having me again. I really appreciate the opportunity. I know this week we're supposed to talk about a public charge rule. So if you have any questions, send them on and I'll try my best to answer as much as I can. Whatever I say today, don't take it as legal advice. Remember, a lot of things are based on individual cases. So maybe after the show, we may need to have a consultation if I say something that's related to your case. And Dr. Monica, in the meantime, you just let me know if anyone has any question. So
I will. Can I get some more volume from your end?
Let me see what's going on.
Can you talk a little bit louder or something?
All right. How does that sound?
Talk a little bit more.
I guess it's the computer. Give me 1 second.
All right. Go ahead and fix that. I want to welcome you again to our legal program this evening. The Law and You attorney Georgia Lawrence is with us. She'll be back momentarily. And I hope that you have your questions that you need answered today. This would be a good time for me to greet the folks on YouTube. Paul and Marie Spencer, good evening again. I only wish to follow you, 'cause when they see me, they should know that I'm an ambassador for you. Now no time for follow the crowd. If you agree, I wanna hear you now. You're missing Jesus. You're the center of my life. Want to say good evening to Gisette Welsh Acosta. Good evening to you, Gisette. It's been a while, sissy. Thank you for popping in. Jyrene George, good night to you. Welcome, welcome. Myrna Chambers, Doreen Moncrief, Rory Winter, Janelle Sheriff, Marcia Robinson, and Marcia Dawson on the YouTube side. Good evening to you guys, and welcome to the program, The Law and You, with attorney Georgia Lawrence. And I'll turn right back over to you, attorney.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Monica. Let me know if you're hearing me better now.
A bit better, yes, yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. All righty. So first off, we're going to start by talking about the public charge rule. So when the Trump administration came out with the public charge rule, a lot of people were shocked because they thought that it was a new concept. But really, it's been around. Public charge rule came about in like 1882, and it was a way of keeping people outside of the United States. So it's nothing new. It's just that this administration brought it back around and put more stringent measures in place. So what it is really is there are certain guidelines or testing in place to prevent certain people from coming to the United States. So you have, it includes well tests, education, skills, and so forth. So one of the things that's going on with family-based immigration now, for instance, if someone is applying for a green card, is that they will assess whether or not that person is going to become a burden on the United States government. So they will look at things like how much money that person has, whoever is sponsoring that person, like how much do they have. So they look at assets, how much you're working, and so forth. And that's why it's important, if you have someone sponsoring you and they don't have enough to show, you have what is called a joint sponsor. And with the public charge right now, you also have in place where they're asking questions about education and skill set. This wasn't in place before. So this was one additional requirement. So the more educated you are, the more skillful you are, you have a better chance of getting into the United States. It's almost like a system where, not a lottery system, but where a measurement is done and then they have a drawing. That's what it is really. So it is affecting a lot of people, especially those from marginalized population, those from lower income communities and so forth, like the Caribbean, some countries in Africa and Latin America. So that's why you have a lot of people talking out against it, because in all fairness, when you look at it, you may bring up the argument that it's really against poor people, like trying to keep poor people out of the country, which in and of itself is wrong.
Wow.
Now, yeah. And it spills over now, because even if you're outside of the United States, so you have two different types of processing. You have the one that's done here within the United States, and you have the one that's done outside of the United States. So now it's gonna be bad for a lot of people outside the United States, because they too will have to prove that they're going to come into the country and they're not going to be a burden on the United States government. For instance, I have clients in the Caribbean, for instance, Jamaica. And one of the things that I tell them, because if, say, for instance, you have a parent who's trying to get you into the United States and your mom or your dad filed the I-130 petition, which will show some sort of parental relationship, and your mom's try to file for you, and say you're in high school and you just finished school, I always encourage them, not because you're of a certain age. It doesn't mean that because your mom tries to file for you, you're just going to get to come in the country like that. You have to work your way in. So you might need to start university, ensure you have a job, build yourself up, have some money in your account, because the system is going to weed a lot of people out, unfortunately, including kids and all that.
Really?
Yes.
But even though they are dependents,
Yeah.
wow. And this is what you say the Trump administration, it has been around before, but he enforced it.
It has been around,
Uh-huh.
but it wasn't enforced as much. I'm not sure how much you follow the news, but if you can see, just the other day they had it in place where they put the I-944. So really what it is, it's like a sheet, thick sheet, where you fill out a lot of information talking about your assets, what you have, even asking for your credit score. And I mean, if you don't have a credit score, you can provide that information. But that's how serious they are now with weeding people out. So
Wow. So that credit score or that paper with all that information that they're asking for, that has to do with the beneficiary or the person who's doing the filing.
That's the benefit. The I-94 is related to the beneficiary. It does have information on it though for the petitioner, which is the person that's doing the filing.
Uh-huh.
For instance, if in the cases where you have spouses, like they'll ask for like combined assets and so forth, and they can look at all the people that are involved in the household. But it more so has to do with the beneficiary, because gone by are the days where the burden was more so on the petitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll be able to do this. But
Mm-hmm.
now it helps tremendously if you have the beneficiary being able to hold on their own too.
Oh, because I was kind of wondering, how does the credit score work with Jamaicans? We have
Yeah,
credit score
you have
system?
the option. You
Oh.
have the option of selecting that you don't have a credit score, or
Oh.
maybe you just got a work permit or something like that, and you do have well, I know like for FICO and so forth, they can report that you don't have enough history, and that's enough.
Okay.
That's enough. But they want to show that you have certain things in place.
Okay.
Yes. So it's with the Trump administration, it's now enforced more, but it was in place before. Like
Mm-hmm.
in recent news, you may have heard of court cases. Like a lot of people are confused now, and that's why it's more important more than ever to ensure that you're consulting an experienced immigration attorney if you have these matters, because just the other day was in place where, oh, the public charge rule doesn't apply. Next week, oh, it applies. Next 2 months, it doesn't apply. 2 days later, it applies. So it's
Mm.
just keeping up with what's going on, like having to get up daily, read news, updates on immigration and so forth, to really figure out where we're at. Because sadly, and this is just my personal opinion, I think there should be a standard in place where it's this way, and it's not a flip-flop based on court system or whoever is in power.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For those who are just joining us, you are listening in to our program, The Law and You. This evening, we're speaking with immigration attorney, and her name is Georgia Lawrence. She's from Jamaica. She resides here in Georgia. She practices here in Georgia. But as she told us, immigration is a federal matter, right?
Yeah.
So you can represent anyone in any of the 50 states of the USA,
Yes.
which is good to know. All right, guys, we'll be taking your questions this evening, and let me know what you want me to ask her for you as she continues to tell us a little bit more about that. Because now I am learning this, because when I came to the U.S. And I filed for my parents, it was different back then. That was, that was like 15 or so years ago. It was different, because at that time my husband and I, we did the financial portion of it. So of course, while we were together, we're married, so our income was enough to go on the paperwork. So unlike some other people, they needed what do you call it again, a co-sponsor. They needed a joint sponsor, right? For some, they need that. I didn't need that, which was good. But at that time, you never had to, like in school or coming out of school, you never had to, have assets and stuff like that. But as you say, it is more enforced now.
Yes, because it with having a joint sponsor, that always help. But one of the things that people do nowadays is they may say, for instance, you're married, your husband or wife is trying to file for you and they don't have enough, it's good to get a sponsor. But now it's not just anybody. That
Wow.
person has to have some tie. So, for instance, a family member, a close relative, because you can get a request for more evidence explaining what's going on here. And people have been getting phone calls. And see, even with that whole sponsorship thing, a lot of people don't understand. It's a binding contract.
Yes, it is.
It's a binding contract, and it's actually enforceable, I believe. Don't quote me on this, for about 10 years or until you become a US citizen, where you're signing that once that person is here, you have some financial obligation to that person. So whenever I have clients who come into me, if they're using like a co-sponsor, I normally try to talk to that person and ensure that person know, like, you have the right to get an attorney to represent you too, because I'm representing my client and I can only provide you with certain information, but you have that right to get your own attorney to talk to you about this contract.
What?
Yes,
So,
it is enforceable.
so legally, you can't represent both of them.
I mean, it may be, I try not to, because
Okay.
down the road it may pose a conflict of interest. So what
Right.
I'll do is I'll provide the information and have them know, like, you have the right to consult another attorney. And just, this is just my personal thing, where I normally get express permission from anyone whose name is coming on any document before me. So
Mm-hmm.
even if I give it to my clients and they have the co-sponsor sign, send their IDs and everything, I'll pick up the phone and I'll ensure, is this your signature?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Wow. All right. You mentioned we were talking about husband and wife just now, and I think I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah.
But if this is if this evening is not the evening to answer this question, then we can wait until it's time to answer it. I do know of couples here in the U.S. One is a permanent resident, aka green card holder,
Yeah.
and the other one is not. But they are waiting until the green card holder becomes an American citizen before they start any filing whatsoever. Well, I haven't too followed up immigration laws anymore. But back in the days when I was a legal secretary, we used to put in that do the filing for
Hmm.
the I-130 while that spouse is a permanent resident, and then we change the status once he is sworn in as a citizen. I don't know why people hang on today, but what would be your recommendation or your advice to a couple that's married here in the US? They're both here. One is a green card holder, the other is not a green card holder, but they're contemplating filing or not, or wanting to wait until the green card holder becomes a citizen. What kind of
See,
advice?
a lot of people think about, let me break, like, dates in line, so priority dates.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a US citizen, then yes, you have certain preferences. You're in a different category versus if you're a green card holder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what a lot of people don't realize is, if this person dies, which I hope is not the case,
Mm-hmm.
before you have any sort of paperwork in process, it's dead.
Yes, it is.
You can't say, like, oh, my husband or my wife was this, so let me go about doing it. Now, some people are strategic, where, say, for instance, it's like 16, 17 months, close to 2 years or something like that. They'll wait
Mm-hmm.
because that gives them the opportunity to get them a 10 years residency card. And I understand that. But my advice is, don't wait. What are you waiting for? Especially with how it's set up, where it's really a flip flop, and any whatever administration is in could change certain rules. I wouldn't wait.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll go through, I'll file the petition, and then when that spouse is approved as a citizen, I normally send a letter. So if you want to push the date up, then fine, but I wouldn't wait. It doesn't make it any cheaper. So
That's what I'm thinking. There's some people who just think that immigration is gonna come after. I don't know. People just think the weirdest of things.
no, I mean, if you're an immediate relative,
Hmm.
meaning your child in the eyes of immigration, a child is under 21,
Unmarried.
spouse under 21 and unmarried, you're a spouse or parent, you're considered an immediate relative. So that person has grounds to file for you. So I don't see what they're afraid of. It's best to get in status if you're out of status versus trying to stay here undocumented.
Okay. Ah, that is true. It's best to get in status.
Yes.
Now, trying to get in status, there's some people who are really scared. There's a whole lot of stories that go on, and people just listen to a lot of things, and then they don't know the truth from what is not. Um, we have people who are actually trying to say they're trying to quote unquote help others, but they're not immigration attorneys.
See, you have notarios or notorious, I believe they're called. You also have some paralegals, and you have people out here. They don't have a license. They're not authorized to practice law, but they're able to fill out paperwork because they can read and they may understand a little thing. Because I came here as a student, and because of that, I was able to understand a lot of the immigration lingo, like what is a number, what is a USCIS number, where I
Yeah.
should find my passport number and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But starting to practice is way more complex. It's one of the most difficult areas of law, especially because it changes so often.
Yes.
And then it's federal. So it's not just based on one state. So you have at times where you have to look at federal regulation, but you also have to look at what's going on in that state too. So I know some people do it probably because it's cheaper, but my advice is if you have an issue, even if it's a consultation with an attorney, you have a lot of attorneys out here doing free consultation for cheap. Like reach out and get some advice, see the best way to navigate this complex system and get yourself in the right status.
All right. So when is a good time for you to file for that immediate relative? Because I heard I let me back that up. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was telling me about a situation within her family. Her sibling filed for, the spouse, but because of what is going on with the whole under the whole President Trump presidency right now, and it's more than one person I've heard who said that the spouse is stuck in the island or wherever they are. Sometimes in some African countries. So what's going on with that?
Well, that all depends on the circumstances. I know now with COVID, you still have some places that are on lockdown, so you can't get any movement right there, backlog with certain things, so they're not processing files and stuff as quickly. But it all depends on the situation. Like a lot of times, USCIS will reach out for more evidence with stuff. You have people not submitting things on time, or even if they do, it's not proper documentation that causes a delay in processing. So that's a question that depends on the situation.
Okay. All right. So it just goes, I mean, it's a personal thing,
Yes,
basically. So
yes.
that's why you need to see these people or talk to them one on one. Because
Yeah, it's on a case by case basis because it could be a case where they're waiting on medical, they're waiting on the person was found inadmissible, they have some sort of crime that wasn't disclosed. So it all depends.
oops,
Yeah,
we got to check them out before we marry to them.
yeah.
So got some kind of crime. It makes him or her inadmissible. Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, like you have waivers and so forth, but again, you have to get deeper and figure out what is going on, what's causing the delay before I could give like a definite answer.
Right. Well, of course, as you say, it's a case by case basis, but I'm wondering if somebody was sexually assaulted or has been, constantly sexually assaulted in some way, decide to just run away and come here, from maybe one of the African countries, one of the Caribbean, wherever, and come here, how hard is that? Can you file on that basis?
I
It's
mean,
broader.
what you're referring to sounds like asylum.
Uh-huh.
No, we we get in asylum, that's a whole different ball field. And again, there has been some changes since recently with the asylum law, but
Mm.
basically if you can show that you're fearful based on certain factors in your country, then yes. A lot of people, when it comes to like sexual crimes, if you're being raped in your country like continuously, that's not really a grounds unless you can show that there's nobody there to protect you. Like you have a lot of Jamaicans, and as many of you know, like a lot of Jamaicans are homophobic. Not all, but a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, for instance, males who choose to engage in that type of activity. They'll come to the United States and they'll try to apply for asylum on that basis. No, because of the history behind it, and they may have certain evidence to prove it. That's a ground where, on that basis, because of what's going on sexually, they may be able to get it. But it's not just the standard is getting higher. And now you
Mm-hmm.
have to show way more evidence. You have to show that there's no way that you can be protected in your country. So
Yeah.
it's not just a matter of, oh, this happened to you or you engage in this activity. So you're just gonna come here and say, okay, this happened to me, so I want to stay. That's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
You have to submit a lot of evidence.
Okay. I see that I changed. Who walked in? Hubby walked in.
And I don't want to tell you what he's doing. This man is crazy.
You
But
gotta leave her alone, Mr. Fraser, so that she can do her program. Anyways, good afternoon. I know of a Jamaican couple, lesbian couple that lives here in the USA, and one was here before. The other one came and joined her, and then they got married here, and the paperwork started. I just wanted to give that story based on what you just said. And when it was time for them both to face the we call it, to go for the
officer.
interview,
Hmm.
right? When it was time for the green card interview, the gentleman who was dealing with the case, he said to them, he was he was amazed because when he saw that they were Jamaicans and they were a lesbian couple, he said to them, "You guys are Jamaicans. Jamaicans are homophobic." And then he was like, "How did this happen?" And
Hmm.
he was just kind of chit chatting with them because it really piqued his interest. But then afterwards, he said, it causes him the greatest pleasure to give them, that paperwork because they're the first Jamaican homosexual couple that he has ever served in that way. So it was like a milestone for him, and he just went ahead and did it. But as you say, based on that, they got it. I don't believe that if one of them just, had come here and say, well, I was being sexually assaulted by my teacher or, by
Yeah,
my dad
that's
or
the
so.
grounds. Yeah,
Would,
you have the justice system there to deal with that issue. It's deeper than that. You have to like fear of prosecution. Like in a lot of these African countries, it's a case where not even the government will protect them if they talk out about certain issues. They're retaliated against and they just have to leave. You have people from Latin American countries who they're involved or not even involved. but they're associated with certain gang members, and because of that,
Mm.
you have where their lives are threatened. Like I remember when I first started out and I was working with the immigration clinic, I
Mm-hmm.
had a client who was a little girl, probably like 16 years old, and her brother was affiliated with this gang. And because of that, her mom was murdered, her dad was murdered, the
Wow.
brother ran away. They were looking for her brother. She made her way in the company of others to the United States. And when she told me, because you have to submit a statement saying what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and when she told me her story, I felt it so much. Like she
Oh my
basically
God.
lost her entire family because of her brother's gang affiliation.
Mm.
And she couldn't go home. She got death threats and everything.
Oh
So
my
that's
God.
that's good grounds for you to get asylum here.
Okay. Also know somebody from Jamaica as well who was threatened from something that happened there as well. So
Yeah.
and he was able to get asylum. All right. So we're using some words this evening like USCIS, and for the people who are listening in. Yeah,
Mhm.
because a lot of Americans don't know what we're talking about. Honestly, I remember when I was studying over 15 years ago to do my citizenship test, and I asked my girlfriend in Virginia, she's American, to help me. I wanted her to read the questions and for me to answer. And by the time I was done, she put the paper down. She said, "Monica, I don't know half of this. Y'all got to know this." I said, "Yes, we got to know this." She
The
was
same thing
shocked.
happened for one of my clients the other day. Like she's from Jamaica,
Uh-huh.
got everything, and she's like 47 years old. And I asked the same question to like Americans who are like 18, 19. They don't know it.
They don't know. They have no clue. She was like, "I don't know this." And she lives here. I tell her, for her, I mean, she's just privileged
Yeah.
because she doesn't need to know all of that. But once we come in here, we didn't just come to this country to take away anything from them. We have to earn our places here.
Yeah.
I had to tell her that. So USCIS, when I was growing up, when not when I was growing up, when I just came to America first and was in the legal field, it was I, what was INS?
INA.
Uh
Yeah.
huh. So now it is USCIS. So what does that stand for those who don't know?
So it's really United States Citizen and Immigration Services. So with you have the broad umbrella of immigration, and under it you have like Department of Homeland Security, where you have like USCIS, you have TSA, you have ICE. So a lot of people
Oh,
get confused where they're like, oh, I don't want to get involved in USCIS. USCIS offers benefits. It's
okay.
good if you're involved. They offer things. ICE is the one responsible like for removal proceedings and deportation. So you
Mm-hmm.
have this side over here that basically has these opportunities like green cards, citizenship, work permits, and so forth. And then you have the enforcement aspect of it that deals with like removal and deportation.
Okay. So that is the ICE portion of it.
Yes, that's called ICE,
Okay. Because
Immigration Customs Enforcement.
okay. So the umbrella, as you say, is USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services,
Well, you have big
and the
immigration, Department of Homeland Security, and then on the Department of Homeland Security, you have the different branches, and USCIS is one of those
one of the
branches.
branches. Okay. All right. And we talk about green card because there's some people here in the U.S. They're probably listening into the program. Some folks are not going to say anything. They're listening in this week. The questions might start coming in next week.
No
Um,
problem.
no problem. But they're here, and you know what? Let them contact you about that. I was gonna ask you, what are some of the ways that they can move forward to residency here in the
Yeah,
U.S.?
I'll be happy to answer that.
Okay.
So, with immigration, it's really two. I always say you break it up into two categories. You have family based immigration, and then you have employment based immigration. Family based immigration, there are a lot of ways you can get a green card. For instance, through family. You have parents here, siblings. It may take longer. You have to be a U.S. citizen. spouse, I would say one of the most common ways. You have different non-immigrant visas that you can come in with. And when I say non-immigrant visas, I'm talking about temporary visas. For instance, the K1, the fiance visa. You come here within 90 days, you get married, you can apply for your green card. You have
So
if
wait
you
wait a minute before you go to the next one. So is that still going on now? The fiance visa? Because
yeah,
it
yeah.
is okay.
I mean,
Okay.
there was a it's been going on because I've been sending out applications,
Mm-hmm.
but the other day with COVID, of course, and the consulate's offices shutting down for a little bit, like interviews were being rescheduled and so forth. But I've been getting notices of interviews being rescheduled and so forth.
Okay.
But yeah, it's still in place, still the same requirements.
All right. So go ahead. You were saying the different
And
ways. Mm-hmm.
different ways, and that's why I say a lot of times you need a consultation to figure out what could work out in your individual situation. You have people who've been involved in crime, people who are traffic victims, people who may have had applied for asylum, got the EAD, they're waiting for their interview to move along, and so forth. And then you have the employment aspect of it, where you probably are on like a OPT training. So this is after you finish with a particular degree program. You have 1 year to work, and then that job may sponsor. You could lead to a green card. You have where different programs, for instance, if you're a nurse, you have certain hospitals that can sponsor you. You're gonna get a green card. So there are a lot of different ways, a lot of different visas, work visas that can eventually lead to a green card, and so forth.
Tell me this. The church, back in the days, they used to have this whole church sponsorship thing. Is it still on? Can a church still sponsor you? How does that
Yeah,
go?
it's called the R1 religious visa.
Mm-hmm.
So if technically it's like a church worker, so you normally have like musicians, certain pastors, and they can come where the church sponsor you on these visa. It's not easy to get now, so it's not, oh, I'm gonna go over there and be a pastor, and I'm gonna, no, it's not that easy. You have to show certain things, like the need for the person to be here, the qualification that the person has, and so forth. And like you were talking about last week, like there gotta be some sort of accreditation to it. So your auntie can't certify that you're a minister, and you're gonna get you're gonna come and get sponsorship because you're a minister. That's not how it works.
You can't open up a community church either and come.
Yeah.
I'm thinking some of us listening and say, okay, I go me a pocket church and take my
Oh
picture
no,
in
that's
my
not
clothes.
work.
That's not gonna work. I thought, honestly though, I thought that they had eliminated the R1 religious visa. So that is good to know that they still have that opportunity. Because back in the days, there were so many people that got it in one instance, and then after a while, they made it so hard. We used to do a lot of that, and you have to show why there's nobody else here that
Mm.
can do that job.
And see that's similar to most other employment visa. You gotta show like the skill this person possess. There's nobody else here to fill that position, and so forth. So
Wow.
when it comes to the employment based visas, the requirements are slightly similar in that regards.
Okay. Hey guys, we're taking questions. If you want to call in, the number is at the bottom there of the ticker. We have 404-647-1706. And if you are long distance, you can call us via the WhatsApp number, which is 44792-730-5600. We're waiting to take your call, answer your questions. Or if you are on Facebook, you can write your question in. If you're on YouTube, you can write your question in. I do know that you are
Let
on,
me pull up mine too.
yeah, there's
See.
one that came in on Facebook. Says, wow, that's good information. Good night, Marjorie Lemons and lovely Laurie's, Evelyn Butler, and Marinese Hutchinson. Marjorie says, wow, that's good information. I shared this because in Utah, we have lots of Jamaican, really, in Utah, Dominican Republic, Africans here that are still working on their papers and processing procedures. So if you know them, Marjorie, you can give them Attorney Georgia Lawrence's number. As she says, immigration is federal matter. So she can help anyone in the 50 states. So just let them know she is here. And I want to go ahead and tell them your email again, Attorney, how they can get in touch with you, rather.
My email is Georgia, like the state, law21@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me on my social media. My business page is Georgia Lawrence LLC. I'm also on Instagram. If you look for Georgia Lawrence, Attorney Lawrence, you'll find me.
All right, good. Let me just take a song and I'm going to come back. And I want to talk to you about invitation letters. So I want to, because in the past I've had people say, Monica, just send me an invitation letter. I want to come up, send something so I can come for Thanksgiving or Christmas or, they always try to kind of put it in the holidays. And then there's some that are saying, I want to go to the embassy, but I want an invitation letter. So let me take a song, and when we come back, I'll have you expound on how invitation letters work, if they work, how they will work, and what you need to do. All right? Okay. All right. We'll be right back.
From the USA to Europe and into the Caribbean, all the world over, this is Caribbean Gospel Radio FM, keeping you inspired and informed.
Can I take a moment to tell you about an affordable, accredited, and friendly place that will educate, equip, and develop you into a leader that will impact the world? That place is Emmett Global Theological Seminary and College. Emmett means truth in Hebrew, and for those seeking a training ground that prepares real people for ministry in a real world, Emmett is here for you. With fully online classes at emmettseminary.com, you can choose from 32 specialized certificate courses, Diploma of Theology, Associate of Theology, Bachelor of Theology, Master of Theology, Master of Sacred Studies, Doctor of Sacred Studies, and Doctor of Theology degree programs. Emmett Seminary offers exceptional biblical education from some of the world's leading educators in an environment which fosters higher learning both spiritually and intellectually for career, ministry, and character development. Visit emmettseminary.com today for more information on one of the most extraordinary values ever offered in Christian higher education. That's emmettseminary.com, E-M-E-T, seminary.com. Our site is very user-friendly, and advisors are ready to help. emmettseminary.com, delivering absolute Bible truth in this eon.
You've done so much for me. You've done so much for me. So much. You've done it for me. You've done so much for me. I cannot tell it all. If I have 10,000 tongues, it still won't be enough. When you heal completely.
If you're just tuning in this evening, I want to welcome you to a first in our program, our legal program, a new program, The Law and You. Every second and fourth Monday of the month, we will have Attorney Georgia Lawrence with us, expounding on immigration matters. We welcome your questions. If you want to send them, ahead of time, go ahead and email her at georgialaw21@gmail.com. That's georgialaw21, georgialaw21@gmail.com, so she can be prepared. If you need help, she is able to assist you no matter which state you live in the United States of America, all 50 of them, because immigration is a federal matter. I like when she says that. If you got something that you're struggling with or you're not sure about as it concerns immigration matters here in the US of A, reach on out to her. It's a case-by-case basis, as she says, and you'll never know what can happen for you. I know sometimes because we are in a state where we can't move about freely like we want to, or when we're in our country, then we might sink into depression, don't want to go anywhere and all of that. There might be help right around the corner for you. You can talk to her. If you want to call in this evening and ask a question, you can do that too without telling us your name. I'm not going to ask you your name. You can call in, you can muffle the microphone if you think your voice is going to be heard and known or identified. So just come right in and just let us know exactly what your question is. And attorney is here. She is ready to answer you. She might tell you, look, this is going to take a consultation off air, all right? But at least you get to ask your question and then you can follow up, all right? Melrose Allen, good evening to you. I see your question. As soon as we join attorney, we're going to get your question in. 404-647-1706. That's the number to call in studio, or WhatsApp 447-927-305600. Guys, knowledge is power. Don't sit on it. I remember back in the days, I had some very, very close people to me when I came here and I was living in Connecticut. And let me put attorney back on while I'm saying this. I know I asked her about invitation letters. We're going to talk about that when she comes back. But I just wanted to share this as well. Let me grab this quickly. All right. Oops. I did not find it. All right. Bear with me there. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, Lordy. All right. Here we go. Got it. She's back. I had some folks. I got a question coming up for you too. All right. So it's bubbling now. But I remember when I got my citizenship, I got my green card, and then 3 years later, I was able to get my citizenship because of, being married. And by the time it was 5 years or something like that, something. And then I was able to get it. So I remember I was speaking to these two people, and I said to them, they were Jamaicans, and I encouraged them to get their citizenship. And one of them looked me dead in the eye and said, nah, I'm going to sell out Jamaica. And what do you know? Today he's in Jamaica because he was deported. He was deported a couple years after that. And he ended up in Jamaica. He never had a second citizenship where he could, fight while staying on these grounds. So they deported him back to his country. And then, he's saying he wish he had known, because no matter how they try, whatever it was, the U.S. just don't want him back here. But that's something that you could explore one of the weeks as well, because some people believe that if they take the U.S. citizenship, they're selling out Jamaica, and they don't know anything about the dual citizenship and all of that. So that's a good learning point. You could teach some folks as to that.
Yeah, and I can speak on it real quickly. So that was a stupid move.
Mm-hmm.
First off, you have dual citizenship, and what you realize is that being a U.S. citizen, you're protected on certain levels. You can't be denaturalized. I know the other day, the Trump administration was mentioning that they're going to do investigation. They're going to denaturalize citizen now. That's not how it works. So when you have that, it's almost like you have that hedge of protection. So as long as you are a permanent resident, you have a green card, you can be deported. You could have that green card for years. You do something that's a deportable offense, you can be deported. You have a lot of people who they'll come here with their kids will get their green cards, and they basically grew up in America. So they don't even understand that they're not a US citizen. And the moment they find out that they're not US citizen
Hmm.
is when they actually get in trouble. And they're
Wow.
gonna be deported back to a country that they don't even know.
Oh my God.
So I always urge people, you're married after that 3 years mark, you're still married to that same person,
Yes.
you go ahead and you file that application. If
Hmm.
you're not married, you got your green card and some other grounds. After 5 years, you're eligible. Go ahead and do it. I say the same thing to my military clients. I have a lot of military clients, and I tell them the same thing. After 1 year of service or certain other requirements that again is based on an individual case by case basis.
Hmm.
Once you're eligible, go ahead and put it in. And now is actually the time to do it if you can, because fees are increasing. It was supposed to increase October 2nd, but
Wow.
it didn't. We'll see what happened with the current administration still being in power until January, I believe. And
Yes.
then when the Biden Harris administration comes in, we'll see what happens. But right now, I would urge you, like, if you can, go ahead and apply. What's stopping you?
All right. Thank you so much for that. That's some good information there. As soon as you're eligible, go ahead and file. I changed my status, as I say, after that 3 year mark, and got
Mm-hmm.
and got my blue book. That was it. Yes, that was it. Because I know of a situation with um this lady. She came here. She got her green card, and it so happened that her sister used her information and went to the embassy and got a visa while she was living here. Her sister went to the embassy in Jamaica, used the sister that was living here information, name, everything, and got a visa because she had gone before. I think she was turned down or something. But she used the sister's name and she went and she got the visa and she came to America. Lo and behold, when the resident here was, she applied for her citizenship, and when she got there, they said to her, "You applied and received a visa while you had your green card." And
Oh, she used her personal info. Oh, wow.
yes, yes, use her sister's name and everything, because she had gotten, I mean, I guess in some kind of thing with her name. So she went and used her sister's name and got her sister's name, but her picture in the book,
That's
you know,
fake documents.
huh?
Fake documents.
Right. And so all this was done in Jamaica. So when the resident here, by this now the sister was in America with her. And the resident here went and, she was doing her interview. They said to her, "You applied for and received a visa while you had a green card." And she said, "No." And of course, this was reason now for investigation. And at the end of the investigation, that was because those people are thorough. They
Yeah.
found out who it was. And when they called her in, it was her very own sister. And yes, and so because they found out that she really didn't know anything about it, they made her this offer. They said to her, "You cannot be, because of that, you can never be a US citizen, but you can have your green card for as long." So after 10 years or whatever, she goes back in and get it renewed, but they took that right away from her, even though she was not found guilty. I I
That
don't know.
that doesn't I think there may be something more to that, because I know that
Maybe.
you misrepresenting, you submitting fake documents, especially something of that sort,
Mhm.
that's a serious crime.
Mhm.
So you don't have a waiver for that. But if they had enough grounds to show that it wasn't her and it was her sister, then I don't see why she's being punished for it,
For it,
really.
right? Well,
What
I
they
don't
should
know.
have done is revoke that sister's document. And honestly, that seemed like a punishable offense.
Yes.
That's the height of misrepresentation right there. And
Yes.
she could have gotten her own sister in serious problems.
Mm-hmm. Well, needless to say, that sister went back to Jamaica. So the resident is still here, but that sister went back to Jamaica and it caused, some rift between them.
Yeah, and I
So,
don't think she's gonna be allowed to come back. But see, that's the thing too. Like I always tell people, like if you can, well, not if, you should always try. And let me say this: you should always try to go about things the legal way.
right.
Like misrepresenting, submitting fake documents, it's not gonna get you anywhere because at the end of the day, it's gonna come back and bite you.
Yes.
So I try not to
Get into that.
indulge in any of that kind of behavior. If I find out that a client is lying to me, submitting false document, I don't want that money.
Good. Good. I wouldn't want to be in that either because I know there's some very strict penalties for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I'm not. I work too hard for
For
my
your
license.
lawyer. That's right.
Is it over a couple of dollars? Mm-mm.
That's right. I've seen attorneys get time.
No,
Immigration.
I'm here to serve.
Yes.
I'm gonna walk in my purpose as much as I can, and I'm not gonna allow a few dollars to cause me what I've worked so hard for. So
Good. You serve with integrity. I like that. All right. So anybody out there planning to come weasel their hand around you, they know now. Don't bother with it. Don't come up in here with it. She's not gonna take it. There are 2 questions here waiting for you. Well, actually, it's supposed to be 3, but I don't see Pearlie Underwood's question. She says question, but then she only put good evening. All right, let me head up to Melrose Allen first, and then Juliet Dennis of Fraser. Melrose says if you got the 2 years visa and you apply for the 10-year, and they gave you an extension, do you have to apply again when the extension is up?
you gotta. I think they mean like you got a 2 years green card. You did the
Oh,
removal.
of
You got the
conditions.
10 years, and you apply for an extension. When the extension is up, if you need to reapply, I mean, if the 10 years is up, then yeah, you go ahead and reapply. But I don't see why not. Why you don't just get citizenship, because it's gonna be after 5 years.
Right. So I'm wondering why would you apply for an extension and a 10-year green card?
A lot of time people will may be involved in some sort of criminal activity, and I'm not saying this person that
Right,
acts
right.
is, but you do have that 5 year period
Mm-hmm.
where you have to prove good moral character. So if you have like even certain traffic offenses, DUI,
Mm-hmm.
you get yourself involved in certain situation, you may have to keep waiting that 5 years period to prove
Oh,
good moral character. So that may be the case. But if that's not the case and you're eligible, then go ahead and apply. Like I said before, that document provides some sort of protection. It gives you certain right, because if you're in this country, you should have it in you where you want to contribute, you want to vote. If you want to do certain federal jobs, you have to be a
right.
citizen. So there are a lot of advantages that comes with being a citizen. So if you're able to, go ahead and apply.
Good answer to that. That leads us into the next question, but let me get in here. In the state of New York, when I lived there, I could not be a notary public before I became a citizen. In Georgia, I could be actually in Georgia. I became a notary public while I was a green card holder or a permanent resident. The same tune for New York? No. So in New York, you're only allowed that benefit if you are a citizen. So as you say, there are certain benefits that you
Yeah.
get only if you're a citizen. Now, we're not only talking about food benefits and stuff like that. There are things I want to contribute. I wanted to be a notary public. I was
Yeah.
working in a legal firm, and I had to wait for my boss to come to do all that, or to take them down to the other attorneys, because the building had like about 5-6 attorneys there. And I had to, and I'm like, I want to contribute. But
Yeah.
New York said, no, I had to be a citizen. But I left New York before I became a citizen and went to Virginia to live. And I looked it up, and in Virginia, these states are so different. In Virginia,
Yeah, they're all different. And that's why I say, like, sometimes even with immigration, while it's federal,
mm-hmm.
you still have to look at certain things within state. Like I know the requirements to get a driver's license, it varies. It depends. If you're in Florida, it's one thing. If you're in New York, it's another thing.
Yes.
Some people, they get it using just the A number. Some people have certain ID. So it all depends. So there is sometimes when you're doing it, depending on what you're doing, you still have to look at what's going on in that particular state.
All right. Thank you. Doreen Brown Campbell, good evening to you, Marcel. YouTube guys, where are your questions? Come on, send in your question. Loy Anson, good evening to you. Evelyn Butler, good evening. All right, Gillette wants you to explain the dual citizenship. Okay, we got questions coming in. All right. Good evening, Rose.
Basically what it is you have citizenship in two different countries. So you could be a United States citizen, but at the same time you're a citizen of Jamaica. So because you're a citizen in one particular state, that doesn't country, that doesn't mean that you're giving up your citizenship in another country. However, there are certain posts where if it should come to the test where you want to be involved, you have to give it up. Like, yes. I can imagine like certain things with national security and certain intelligence posts, you may have to pledge allegiance to only one particular country. And that's understandable, because if you're dealing with certain classified information, that it makes sense right there. But a lot of people just think they're selling out, like my Jamaicans would say, but
yeah,
that's not the case. You're protecting yourself.
And the beauty about it is that Jamaica is one of those countries that afford you dual citizenship. So I would encourage people to take it. I have a friend from China, and they don't offer them dual citizenship. She had to give up her Chinese citizenship and live here. And when she wants to go back to China, she has to go to the Chinese embassy or whatever and apply for a visa to go back to China. Luckily for us in Jamaica, it's not so. So, you know, we should, as attorney says, you know, once you get to that threshold, that mark where you can be a citizen, go ahead and apply for it. You're not selling out.
Yeah.
And you can travel with the 2 blue books. All right. It's blue now, right? Blue. Some people still have the red. Yeah. Some people still have the.
My husband got theirs the other day.
Oh, I don't have one. I need me one. What was he saying? Oh, I thought that was him. Okay, I need me one of those other blue book in Jamaica as well. You know, you sit down here and let one run out. Now you got to try and apply all over. Good evening, Rose. Marjorie says, amen, attorney. All right, we have a question for you. And Gillette, who you just answered the question for, says, thank you. The beauty about it, you know, Gillette, here it is. When you get your dual citizenship, girl, if you're from Jamaica, I don't know where you're from, but say you're from one of those islands or country that afford you dual citizenship, you can travel with both passports. Am I right?
Yeah, but I normally tell people, like, go ahead and use your U.S. passport. But see, when you
both times,
you get to be in that special line that's shorter. You don't have to go through all that.
So, but let me ask you: is it a crime to travel with 2 passports on you?
It's not a crime.
Okay.
No, it's not a crime.
Okay, all right. I know it's probably a crime. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you travel with somebody else's passport on you.
Oh, that's definitely a crime.
Right. Okay.
Definitely. Like that's like a lot of people. This is what I heard. Like back in the days, they used to take like the baby's passport, because you know babies change, and they would have like smaller ones travel. Like, for instance, I'll take my baby to Jamaica and I'll bring back, his cousin, because, you know, they're not doing fingerprint and all that. That's a crime. And that's something I do not encourage. Like, do not try to use someone else's document to travel.
Right.
Passport, visa, whatever it is. Don't do it.
And there's another side to that, too. Say, for example, you know, you're here. I'm just using you and I. You're here. You're going down to Jamaica. And I ask my sister to get my passport done down there for me and then give it to you and you bring it up. that you might not be smuggling a child, but you might
Yeah,
think that, okay, I'm just only bringing a passport, but that's a crime. You're not supposed to do
it's
that.
the same thing like even mailing passport. Like my brother was in the St. Kitts the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't know that he wasn't supposed to mail his passport, and he did mail his passport to Jamaica, and he had a hard time getting it back
Mm-hmm.
because maybe they will look at it like he's sending it there for somebody else to get it and travel on it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to documents like your passport, try not to do it. Like here in the United States, you have different consulates. Like you have the Jamaican
The embassy,
consulate that's
yeah.
in Miami and New York. Like use them. It's not expensive. Send your passport there. Get it renewed if you need to get it done within 4 to 6 weeks. You also have expedited services and you get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't put yourself in certain unnecessary situations.
Good. And I do think that's the law. That's why the consulates are here to serve their
Yeah.
people. So we need to use them. All right, I got a couple more questions coming in. So Gillette says, yes, she's Jamaican. So as I was saying, since it's not a crime to carry two passports, like a U.S. and a Jamaican passport, this is how I did it in the early days. Well, mine ran out now, but in the early days when I had my Jamaican passport and my fresh U.S. passport, when I got to Jamaica, I check in Jamaica with my Jamaican passport,
And when I hear you checking it, you
and then when I come back here, I just check in here with my U.S. passport.
yeah,
That was what I did. So, both places I go, I get treated as a citizen. So you
yeah.
don't stamp in my passport 14 days, no work or whatever. So some people just use it for that. As long as it's not a crime. That's one of the benefits to Gillette. Yeah. All right. Another question for you, attorney. Can you file for divorce from someone that didn't get their visa after being married for over 5 years? So, okay, can you file for a divorce from someone? So, okay, two people being together.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get the visa. I think it may be the green card they're talking about.
Yeah.
A green card after being married. So they've been married for over 5 years, and the one who the beneficiary didn't get their visa. So can the petitioner divorce the beneficiary, or
I mean,
or
as a
the
petitioner,
I'm
like
not
if you're
sure
married, you can divorce whenever you want to get divorced.
exactly.
But it may screw over the beneficiary. So if it's a case where this person was, I believe they're talking about a green card when they say like the visa.
Mm-hmm.
So if this person was denied for whatever reason, they may have grounds to reapply. However, if they're divorced, they can't reapply and say that they're married to a green card holder or a US citizen because now they're divorced. And that comes up a lot of time when people start having marital issues, but at the same time they have certain things going on as it relates to immigration. I understand when there's a case where you may have like some sort of domestic violence involved and the person may have to leave if the beneficiary isn't the one that has fault. They have certain things in place to protect them. For instance, VAWA, that they can apply if their US citizen spouse is abusive, and again we can talk about that later on another show.
Mm-hmm.
And you have certain things like crime visa if you've been a victim and so forth. You've also have situation where it's just not working out and they want to get a divorce. Some people will ask about separation agreements. Again, this is in whatever state you're working with. What I always tell my clients is that if you're not divorced, you're not divorced. So if they ask you the question if you're divorced, you can check no, even if you have something going on, as long as it's not a divorce.
Right.
But you need to reveal that because trust and believe, they are going to find out what's going on.
They will.
So you're going through a process, you have some sort of separation agreement or whatever you have going on. If it's a cover letter, you put a cover letter. If it says bona fide marriage, you can go ahead and click the box, but make sure you provide an explanation. So sometimes it's best to wait, see if you can work things out. That would be good. But if it's a case where certain things in place is just not working out, you got to get a divorce, go ahead and get your divorce. But it's gonna affect the person that you wanted to that would
Powerful.
have been helped in the process.
Wow. Just try to stick it out as long as, it's not abuse or anything like that. I'm going to come to the invitation letter, but back in the days, because I'm old now, back in the days when I used to be in that field, here's a scenario, and I want you to give me an update on it. Here's a scenario. Back in the days when I was working as a legal secretary, John marries Mary. John and Mary, they're married. Um, John doesn't have his any residency papers. So whatever happens, we don't know. John and Mary is divorced, and by the time John comes to our office, John is now married to Kathy. You following me so far? Right. So John is now married to Kathy. So here they are in the office, and we're trying to do the paperwork for them. Lo and behold, we discover that John's intention is, after he gets his green card, to divorce Kathy and go and remarry Mary, because it's Mary he loves and he wants to file for Mary. Back then, that couldn't be because of how they kept they document all your spouses that you've ever had. And so back then there was no way he could go back and marry to her, because on his paper, it would say to list previous wives or previous spouses rather. And so Mary would have been on that paper. So immigration already know he was married to Mary Jones, and now he's married to Kathy. So should that come up back in the system now, where him and Kathy are divorced and now he has remarried Mary Jones and he's filing for her, then it would be a no-no. What's the situation with that today? Because I still hear people who have that kind of mindset, like, when I get taken care of, I'm going to take care of you, baby. I'm not hearing you. You're on mute.
Yes, it still happens where you have people who their intention, they get married and it's really for immigration benefit, and they're gonna go and remarry the person who's probably in another foreign country. That's the person that they love. That is called marriage fraud.
Exactly.
You're married, but for an immigration benefit, so it's not a bona fide marriage. Now, what is in place is that you cannot just marry somebody, get the benefit, a year or two later, you marry another person. You normally have to wait like 5 years or more.
Okay.
And even with that, you still have to show certain evidence that it wasn't just for immigration benefit, because you have a lot of people who do it. So it wasn't just for immigration benefits. So it's still in place. And that's a question, like, hardly you see any immigration form that doesn't ask you the question about prior spouses.
Right.
You still have that in place. So in your scenario, Mary would still have to be listed as prior spouse, the date of the marriage, the date of the divorce, and in an interview, the question may be asked, what happened?
Wow. So folks want to stay away from that marriage fraud, immigration fraud, you call it? Yeah. They should stay away from it. Make sure you come legit.
It's something that's big, and it's concerning to a lot of United States citizens and even the agency as a whole. And that's why they have, you do have some people where the intentions aren't pure, and they just don't want immigrants here. But some people look at it and they're like, oh, it's just marriage fraud. But trust and believe, the agency has a lot of things in place where they're detecting these frauds left and right.
All right. I have Marjorie, I'm coming to you on Facebook. Let me go to YouTube. Our first one from YouTube. Question: when I was married to my first husband, I gave him his papers. He had a temporary green card because they suspected we were only married for green card purposes. Are they still doing that?
Yes. So when you're married and you put through, when you file the I-130, the petition for your spouse, if it wasn't after 2 years, then they get a conditional green card that's valid for 2 years. After that 2 years, which a few months before, normally 3 months before, you can try to renew it. You have to file the I-751 where you're trying to remove the conditions from that green card. And that's where you have to prove that you were and you're still in a valid marriage. So it's still in place and it's not going anywhere.
That's
That one's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. I didn't have to do that because I remember when my husband filed for me. Um, all of this took place in New York. Filed our papers in New York, of course, Albany or whatever,
Yeah.
and then we moved to Virginia. But I did all my paperwork myself because I was in that field, so I did it all. And then we moved to Virginia, so I kept a copy of everything that I
Yeah.
had sent to immigration. And by the time I moved to Virginia, at that time, attorney, within 90 days, you would have gotten your work permit. So I had got my work permit and I was doing well. We moved to Virginia. I was pregnant, moved to Virginia. We got to Virginia and I'm wondering what's happening with my papers. I'm not hearing anything. So I reached out because I did a letter to transfer my case from to my new address. So it was supposed to go to Norfolk instead of me going to Manhattan. I was supposed to go to Norfolk, Virginia. And when I contacted them, they said they don't have anything for me.
Oh,
And yes, so they said they contacted New York, and New York said there was nothing for me in the system. So I said, that's crazy because I said they gave me my work permit. So the gentleman said, they gave you a work permit? I said, yes, I got my work permit. He said, then how can you have a work permit and there's nothing in the system? I said, that's what I'm saying too, because I have a copy of everything that I filed with them and the answers that he said, you do have that? I said, yes, I keep a copy of everything. He said, your life just got saved. He said,
yeah.
can you please get us a copy? And so we drove to Norfolk, Virginia with the entire package so that we could give them the copies and stuff. And they contacted me a little bit afterwards and they said, Miss Jones, we found out what happened. There was a big racket going on, and there were some people who were paying off these immigration people to get their paperwork or whatever in New York. I don't know if you remember back then. This was like 1999,
Mm.
and they pulled them all off the line. And every one of them who was involved in this whole scam thing that was going on, because they were taking money from people on the side, whatever. All the files that were on their desk, they scooped them up and they were taken to the FBI. And so
Wow.
my file was in it because it was on one of them desks. So they had to investigate me and all of that. But my hands are clean. So it just happened that my file was on the wrong desk.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a good way of doing it to God, probably because we weren't paying them any extra. So my file probably would have been pushed to the side. But
Yeah.
anyways, we got the file. Virginia was able to get the file from the FBI because there was nothing on me or whatever. And so I went in to do my interview. And when I got there, I already had the baby. So that was like a big stamp. They're like, okay, they're proving, that this is legit. It's really coming back to the legitimacy of this. And I hear that there's some people when they're going pregnant, they want to do a DNA. I don't know about that. You know anything about that?
They not a DNA, but they will ask because
Oh.
they're under the impression of like, oh, anybody can have a baby. So
Mhm.
it's evidence and it's good evidence to show that you have a child with this person, but it's not the evidence that's gonna make your entire case. You need more. But
Yes.
when you say that they couldn't find your file.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, that may be the case. So you having a copy, that was very good. And I
Yeah.
always tell people, like, you keep those records for a long time.
Yes.
Even if you're just applying for a non-immigrant visa, like a B1, B2 visitor visa,
Mm-hmm.
if you can get a copy of that application, because if it gets to the point where you become a citizen or you're applying, you need to ensure that you're consistent with whatever information you're giving. And I mean, sometimes people may forget something
Forget.
like a particular day.
Yes.
So if you have that application, you'll remember, oh, on this is the day that I work at this place. This is the day I stop working at this place. So it
Right.
cannot come back, or so they can come back and say, oh, you lied about this. So it's
True.
always good to keep a copy of your file. And
True.
now immigration has very old system, and that's why the backlog is the way it is right now. So
Oh, okay.
hopefully the day will come when they will transfer most of their stuff online. I know, like
Mm-hmm.
now, if certain applications can be done online, like citizenship applications,
Yes.
but they still have a lot of paper. I know in the legal industry, a lot of attorneys, for some reason, we love paper, but
Yes.
I see a lot of us moving away from that. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
would say I am 90% virtual.
Okay. Well, that's nice. That's
Yes, so I
nice.
normally have clients like scan, send things to me. Whatever you send to the mail, probably something that's going to be signed and mailed to USCIS. When I'm finished with applications, like I'll scan, I'll save it to a file, and I'll keep it for a number of years. But as far as like a whole bunch of paper, I think we should really do away with that. So it's good that you
Lucky.
have a copy.
You're lucky because back in the days, my immigration was not online, and we used to write them, and they would send whatever form we need,
Oh, wow.
and we would fax. We would fax, and they would send whatever form we need, and that was how we supplied, our the customers until they came in where you could print the forms until it went to where you are now, where you can submit certain things online. But back in
Yeah.
the days, it wasn't like that. Wow. Awesome there. I remember my that same husband, we divorced years later, over 12 years later, and he lost his passport. And he mentioned it to me, and I said, "Why don't you apply for another one?" He really wasn't sure what to do, and I said, "If you send me the money, I'll do it for you." So he sent me the money. And you know what I did? I went back in my files. Attorney, I have every paper from I applied for my green card. As a matter of fact, um, he was not a citizen when we did it first, so we started off with the I-130, and
Yeah.
then we update the status and all of that. So I have all of that. I have my naturalization paper when I filed for my parents. I have all of that. I have
Mhm.
all my
It's
passport.
important to keep that, those
Yes.
documents. Hmm.
So I made a copy of his naturalization paper because he didn't have the original. When we broke up, he madly took all of his stuff. Oh, yes, he took everything. So I have all my papers. I have a filing cabinet and I keep all my, because I'm a secretary. I'm used to filing and
Yeah,
keeping things in order. So I have everything. So he took his passport and his naturalization certificate. Of course, they're his. He took
yeah,
them. I'm a bad man now. And he go marry again. And him and the wife had problems. And she, I don't know what she did with them. He claimed that she threw them out or something. I don't know. I don't want
Lord.
to say that because that's a, is that felony or something? That's a crime if she did
Yep.
that.
This.
But yeah, but whatever he said that she did, so now he's left without a license, a valid license, a passport, yada yada. So I said, well, if you send me the money, I will do it for you. And he sent me the money, and I went in my filing cabinet because I have my copy. He's got the original, but I got the copy.
Yeah.
And I did the copy, made a copy of it, everything, bought the money order, everything, and sent it off. He was shocked when he saw what I did. He said, Monica, you still have that? I said, you know me. I don't throw away papers. They're coming back at you. 'Cause you
Yeah.
know what? somebody told me, notice a little bit off subject, but somebody told me that we could find in the States if there's any funds, unclaimed property or unclaimed funds.
Yeah.
So when I went to Louisiana to live about 3 years ago, 3 years ago, that was when I heard about it. And do you know, attorney, I searched the state of Virginia where I lived. And they had some money there for me because I used to work with an airline that went out of business. And my last paycheck, they couldn't find me to give it to me. So it was with the state. And I didn't know that. And when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute. So now I was claiming for it, and I had to prove that I lived at that house in Virginia at that address. You know what I did, girl? I went into my filing cabinet. I copied my house deed that we had down there at the time. Letters. Some letters were not even open yet. Letters from the state. I copied my notary public information because I keep everything. So it is always good to keep. I'm not saying to hoard a lot of stuff that you don't need, but these things, there's going to come a time when you might just need them. So hang on to them. Hang on to them. All right, I got a couple more questions before you go. I'm coming, Marjorie. She said she might be off track. So I'm going to get this in. Let me get this one in. If you have 2 green card parents who left their children in the islands, can these children be brought to the U.S. and register for school while their parents file for them? If both parents are permanent residents, the children are in Jamaica or in Grenada or wherever in the islands, can these children be brought to the U.S. and be registered in school while the parents file for them?
Okay. Listen to me carefully. If the parent, because if they have 2 green card, the parents, they're 2 green card holder, only one need to file for the kids. So if you're in a Caribbean country, you have a mom or dad who files for you. You're supposed to wait in your home country until that filing comes through, and then you adjust and come to the United States. The fact that you're going to go to school here means that you have the intent to stay. Now, if you choose to come to the United States, I'm assuming on like a visitor B1 or B2 visa, then that's you saying to immigration that you had the intent to just visit the United States and then return to your home country. But if you allow them to come and go to school, then technically you lied to immigration because you had dual intent. The intent was for them to come to school and stay. So
let them wait their time. Okay. All right. And then it depends again where they are. Sometimes it's so hard for them to get into school.
Yeah,
because
but
of the paperwork.
You do have a process though where you can ask for services to be expedited when there's certain things going on in the home country. Because I've had a case like that where the mom was basically abusing the daughter. The father was here. We wrote to immigration and she got her services expedited. So you have those cases.
Okay. Does it cost more without having to say prices? Is it another service that you have to pay for, the expedited service?
It depends. Yes, you have to pay a fee for it, but again, how much you pay depend on the situation.
It's okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering that. And Cynthia says, "Oh yes, I just got my unclaimed money." All right, good. So you guys, you better start looking.
I heard about that when I moved to Georgia. This guy came to me and he was actually introducing me to that business. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, unclaimed property, unclaimed money.
Yes.
I guess.
I got mine from, I didn't have anything in Georgia to get, but I got from Virginia. And my husband got from both Virginia, the children's father, both Virginia and Connecticut. So,
Florida may have something.
Yes, you just have to search each state and just go about it that way. As long as you can prove it's you, you
Yeah.
will get your money because it's unclaimed money sitting there, and they want to make sure that you get it. All
Yeah.
right, so we go to this one. Marjorie says this may be this is kind of off subject, but I believe that my grandfather, Major Joe Bell, was originally from the islands because I couldn't find any information about him past Columbus, Tennessee. I wonder, did he require a green card in the 1900s to work here? Or was he under the slavery era as his parents, John Bell and Ada? Can immigration papers be used to track ancestry trails as well? That's her question.
Well, it depends on how this person got into the United States. Like you have certain waiver programs. So again, you'd have to do some research to figure out how this person got here, to figure out if they had a green card or what was going on. As far as like searching for ancestry and stuff, I do not do that. I know there's certain companies out there that specializes in that, where you could probably like trace certain routes where the person is from and so forth, but I don't have that information.
All right, let me just quickly put this up for folks to see. I got another question coming your way. Here it is, guys. I just read a comment. Somebody said that they wanted your where did it go? They wanted your phone number and address, but I just put in the email address where they could reach you, and then you would take that up with them.
Yeah.
All right. So while I'm trying to find the next question, just quickly go and tell them again how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, so you can send me an email at georgialaw21@gmail.com, or you could find me on Facebook, Georgia Lawrence, Instagram, Georgia Lawrence, or royalty_with a purpose. My website is also www.georgialawrence.com.
All right, that is so good. Okay, guys, so there you go. Again, she was a little too fast for you. There it is, Georgia Law, right underneath her picture. You can see it right there. The on-air number is actually here in the studio if you wanted to call in and ask a question or, just say something. But go ahead and reach out to her at georgialaw21@gmail.com, and she will be able to talk to you about your concerns. I hear Marjorie says, wow, you would think with all the technology, the immigration department would be on top of that. They got their own way though, There are
ways to find out. But as far as like figuring out a person's immigration history, you can do a FOIA request. And you'll see like how they got in the country. The immigration will have all that information. So you can do a FOIA request, but as far as finding about lineage and so forth, no.
Okay. All right. So it's called a FOIA request?
Yes. FOIA.
FOIA. Okay. So there you go. You can do a FOIA request to find out if your grandfather got in as a slave or if he had a green card in the 1900s. Green card?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. That's way back then.
That's way back.
Yeah.
But figuring out how he got here, like if it's not through the immigration system that we have in place now, I don't know how you get that information.
Oh, no. You got to check the banana boat company. Back in those days when the banana boat used to come. Pearlie says, I don't throw away any documents or papers. Good. Margie says, interesting cases. I'm telling you. Immigration cases are really colorful, and as Attorney Lawrence says, it's a case by case. It's not a one size fit all. So you got to call her, not call her because there's no number right now. Email her, and she will definitely reach out to you and we'll take it one-on-one. All right. Again, she is licensed. She's an attorney here. She's not a quack. And because immigration is federal, she can represent you in any of the 50 states in the United States of America. All right. One more question here. Oops, 2 minutes to 8 o'clock, and we go from 6 to 8. So,
okay.
So I still have my question on invitation letters, but I don't want to wear you out this evening because you're coming back in 2 weeks. But the beauty about this is that we have new people who are joining all the time, and so
Yeah.
repetition of the information is not bad. If a child files for a parent, oh, that sounds like me now. Does that parent have to wait for 5 years to file for their citizenship? You want me to answer that? You go ahead.
Go ahead and answer.
Yes, they have to wait for 5 years to file for their citizenship. The provision is only given to spouses for that
Yeah,
3 year.
3 years for spouses, and if you're in the military, you can do it after a year.
Ooh, the
of
military's
ser-
so the military's after a
Yeah.
year of service.
Yeah, and if you're still married to your spouse, you have the 3 year provision. But if you file for your parents, sister, brother, if you're not married anymore, it's 5 years.
Good. And let me let you elaborate on that a little bit, because some people, after they get the provisional green card that is after 2 years, then some of them they're like, "Oh, I got it now and I'm out." If you come out at that time, you have to wait for 5 years for the 5 year card, right?
Yeah.
Before you can file. You have to remain married to that
After the
person.
2 years, you're gonna have to remove the condition. If you're not married anymore, you're gonna have to prove. You're gonna have to prove some stuff, like how you gonna remove the condition, and then you can't become a citizen until 5 years because you're no longer married to that person.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So for your parent, yes, you can, if you are a citizen, wait, does that parent have to wait for 5 years? Yes. 5 years to file their citizenship. And she says, thanks very much. And FOIA request. Yes. That's
Yeah.
what you got to do. All right. She was making a note of it. All right. I think those are the final questions from our listeners. So I was asking about basically it's two things before we get to the invitation letters. Back in the days when I was in immigration, they had something when we filed those papers, if they were out of status here in the US of A, they would pay a $1,000 fee. Then they started to fuss about it, saying that immigration is rewarding the folks who come here, break the law, while the others in their country have to wait. So I lost it in between that time. I don't know I think they were trying to do away with it. Can you still, if you're out of status here in America, I mean, you overstay your visa and you're here, how does that work if you want to file during that
I
time?
mean,
Say you get married or something.
once you're eligible. So, for instance, if you get married, then you just go ahead and file.
Oh, they don't charge you that $1,000 fee
No,
anymore?
you don't pay an extra fee. You pay the same thing as any regular,
Wow.
even if you didn't overstay, you don't pay that fee.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay. So they did actually do away with it. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
I heard about it, but I've
Okay,
never.
good. So you know that what I'm saying then is
Yeah,
true.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, Georgia, immigration used to make some good $1,000, girl. I'm telling you.
I can imagine.
I used to buy those money orders. I'm telling you. When they come in and send off those envelopes, because back in those days, you got to mail them. And I was
Yeah.
always going to the post office, and that was just the out of status fee. That had nothing to do with the I-130 or the 175 or whatever. This was just being out of status. So they did do away with it. Wow.
Mm.
Well, which is good for the people who are here,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's good. All right, let me see if anybody else says anything before we close. Invitation.
Yeah, let me answer your question about the invitation
Yes.
letter. So basically, they're not needed. Normally, you get an invitation if you're coming on a non-immigrant visa, like a visitor visa.
Mm-hmm.
And say, for instance, someone is coming up for the holidays, like the summer or the Christmas holiday, you could send them the invitation letter to say, like, oh, my niece is coming here, spend 2 weeks. I'm going to be responsible for her financially. She's going to have a place to lay her head and so forth. And it's a simple letter that's to the point. You don't need an attorney to write it. It's probably better if you write it because it's personal.
Mm-hmm.
but it's not needed. And a lot of time, what people do in place is submit an affidavit of support, because what immigration wants to know is that when this person comes here on a temporary basis, they're gonna have what they need to have in place. So it's not like they're gonna have to say, "Oh, I gotta work to put roof over my head." They have a place that they're coming to, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll have some spending money. And that's why a lot of times, like, people trying to get a visa, you hear them ask like, "What's your address?" Because they're trying to put it on the form to say that's where they're gonna stay. But it's nice, and people do it all the time, where they send like a graduation, a wedding invitation, or something like that. But it's not really a make or break for a case. More so, what is important is showing that while you're here on a temporary basis, you will be supported. You won't have to work in order to support yourself, because it's not legal to work without proper authorization.
Okay. Somebody says I thought they didn't do that anymore. So good to hear they still doing that. So I
I
guess this
mean,
is
like, you don't need it. It's not needed.
the
But if
letter.
you go into the embassy and you ask like a relative for a letter, they can give it to you. But it's not a case where it's needed.
All right, and and I don't think it's a case where they because you have it you're in a better position than somebody who doesn't have
No,
one. No.
like, they weigh evidence differently.
Okay.
So
So who is this letter supposed to be addressed to? To the person that you want to come or to the embassy?
you could address it to the embassy, or if it's a case where it's like a graduation invitation, you could give it to the person and they'll show like, "This is where I'm going, this is who I'm gonna be staying with."
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Oh Lord, one more question. You got time for one more question?
All right, go
All
ahead.
right, YouTube. This is our final question. Here, Marjorie says you're right, Dr. Monica. Rich business indeed. Okay. Final question. If you're out of status, can you file? I'm not sure. File for yourself. File for. All right. I'm not too sure.
If you're
Um.
out of status, someone like an immediate relative can file for you. For instance, a husband or a wife, if that's what you're asking. If
Okay.
a U.S. citizen child over the age of 21. If you mean that you're out of status, if there's any way you can file for yourself, no, unless you're gonna have to, if you're within that like 1 year mark and it's like asylum, or you're trying to say you were a victim of crime, you have different types of visa. Again, that one would be on a case by case basis. I'd have to know more information.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh Lord. Now the questions are coming in, huh? Can we take one more? Can we take one more, attorney?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
thought you could.
All right.
Yeah.
Good evening, Kay. This one is COVID related. And she says, my cousin was supposed to enter the US by June to claim his green card. He was unable to enter due to COVID, and St. Kitts recently reopened. Now, here comes a question. Has USCIS provided any guidance around situations like this? We're having a hard time getting in touch with anyone.
It's based on the country, because you have a lot of embassies and stuff that are opening slowly, and somewhere we haven't heard anything. So it all depends on the country. A lot of time it's not with USCIS rather. It's more so with the country. So my thing is, probably you can write them, try to call, if you can like check your case status online, talk to Emma or something of the sort. But as far as like giving a definite date when things will be open, interviews will be rescheduled and stuff, that's not something that we can provide at this time, because COVID is still out here.
Now, you say talk to Emma?
Yes. So
What's
what
that?
I mean is when you go to the USCIS website, like how when you go to a particular website, you normally have this person who
Oh, okay.
with
Yeah.
USCIS, she's called Emma.
Oh, how do you spell her name?
EMMA.
EMMA, Emma.
Emma.
Oh, like you got Cortana for Hotmail, and you got Alexa,
Yeah. Emma.
and what's the one for Bank of America? I forget her name too.
I don't know her
Yeah.
name. That's the right.
Okay. All right. So you go over there and talk to Emma on the USCIS website. Awesome. Thank you so much. I hear Gillette says this is very informative. That's what I'm telling you guys. She's got a brain on her, and she decided to do this so, she could keep us informed. And I'm so, so grateful. So get your questions from your mama name, all of that. And she's not going to be able to answer everything definitively on air because, as she says, it's a case by case basis. And that's why we tell you to reach out to attorney at, I'd like to hear your voice. Tell them where again.
So Georgia Law 21 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.georgialawrence.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, Georgia Lawrence, or search for my business, Georgia Lawrence LLC.
I got to add that to the flyer. Georgia Lawrence
LLC.
LLC.com?
No, just Georgia Lawrence LLC.
Okay. And then for the website, it is
GeorgiaLawrence.com.
GeorgiaLawrence.com.
Yes.
All right. The COVID question, that lady says, thank you.
You're most welcome.
All right. Okay, guys. Again, you see how to get in touch with her. You don't have to wait for the program. We're doing it two Mondays in the month. So next week she gets time off to have dinner with her husband. And then the following week she comes back. You can always feel free to go ahead and email her. Please, I'd prefer that, so she can come prepared to answer your questions and can just dive right in. We weren't too bad this evening, we really did good. Pat your shoulder, pat your shoulder. Come on, I'm patting mine. That's right. Let me put up there so they can see us. Pat it again. Come on, come on. Pat your shoulder. Yeah, that's right.
Suggestions with like what are some of the topics that they want to explore, and so we're more structured and we can talk about that. Send your questions before I try to address it as much as I can, and we can go from there.
You heard that, guys? So she's willing to go into any area that you want her to explore as it concerns immigration law.
Yes.
All right. You're gonna be doing civil rights as well too? Any of that or no?
No, immigration.
No, just immigration. So, Bukuish and Ray Ray having a little problem around there. You can tell her, and ask her to speak on that. He's beating her up and what can she do because she's here illegally, yada, yada, so that she can come out, and address that. All right. So, somebody says she's excellent. Of course.
Yeah.
She said, thank you, guys. Marjorie says she's excellent. So we really covered a lot today.
We did.
Yes. So keep it coming, guys. And let me see what we would want you to do for your next program. Anybody has an idea that you want for the next program, just shoot it right here, right now. All right. We're taking that right now. Okay. So come on with it if you've gotten it. But nevertheless, she'll be back here the fourth Monday of the month. And we're going to explore some more, or we're going to discuss some more immigration matters. Thank you so much, Attorney Georgia Lawrence. Your final word before you go?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. And
keep up the good work now.
Thanks. And you too. And let me remind them again, please make sure that you don't go to immigration with no bogus marriage. Because Attorney Georgia is not going to take that. She can't afford to lose her license. Anyways, reach out to her via email and she will guide you accordingly. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon.
All righty. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. All right. I am so grateful that she was on the program today. That was Attorney Georgia Lawrence. And again, you can reach out to her at georgialaw21@gmail.com. And attorney, folks are saying that they appreciate you. It's very informative. God bless you and thank you and all of that. I know we're not going to get all the questions today, but she'll be here every second and fourth Monday of the month, guys, to talk to us about immigration law. Wasn't she great? So get your questions and come back another time. Going to be getting on out of here myself as well. But I want to say thank you so much for coming on board with us this evening. Closing you out with this one from Golda McFarlane, No Longer a Slave to Fear. Thank you so much for your questions. We like the interaction, and you did come through this evening. Take care, Pearly. Good night to you. Oh, Janelle, what was that? You wanted to ask a question about overstay status? Hold on to that one until she comes back, all right? Or maybe she did talk about it because she went a little bit on overstayed status. Boy, I learned this evening that the invitation letter really works. I didn't know it really worked for real. But she covered a lot of ground tonight. Thank you, Attorney Georgia Lawrence. You're the best, man. If you're seeking an immigration attorney to represent you or your family members or friends, you know where to go. Can't say I didn't tell you. Her name is Attorney Georgia Lawrence. You can find her on her website, georgialawrence.com. You can also find her on Facebook, Georgia Lawrence. You can also email her at georgialaw21. That's georgialaw21 at gmail.com. And you can find her here every second and fourth Monday evening, right here at Caribbean Gospel Radio FM, when we will take your questions. And if you don't want to put your name out there to ask a question, trust me, you can call in. I can take that question from you over the phone, and we'll get you an answer, all right? You don't have to be a slave to fear anymore. I know immigration is really a cringing subject when you think about it, depending on which part of the road you are on. Some of you listening in to me, you're in an overstayed status. I mean, some of you, you're in a marriage that's going haywire. You haven't even gotten your paperwork yet. There's so much that can happen. Look, there is help for you. And as Janelle says, she was wonderful. There is help for you. The way she talks, she just make it seem like everything is just okay, right? I can imagine how she just calm the client down with going, don't eat dinner for 10 nights, and just worried that, they don't even open their door. They think the next car coming down is going to be the police cruiser with ice to whisk them away and deport them. But when you get in, just that smile and the way she talks, Lord, I done get the green card now. She has that calming effect, guys. So look, if your hormones are raging and your hair is tearing out because of your immigration condition or situation, take a deep breath and send an email to georgialaw21 at gmail.com. Let her handle it for you. Thank you so much to those on YouTube. Thank you. I might not be able to call each and everyone by name. Velman, Lady CC, didn't see you. Come on in. Thank you. Nicole Williams, thanks. Claudia Thompson, Loyan Evelyn, Marcia, Janelle, Rory, Doreen, Myrna, Gisette, Jyrene. Hope I didn't miss anyone. Marcia, Claudette, and Janelle. Thank you so much for participating. On the Facebook side, I want to say thank you so much. Can I go from bottom up? Let me go from top down. Thank you so much to each and everyone. Some have already gone. Marjorie, Joan, Paulette, Marie Spencer, Andrella, Pastor Garcia, Tara Ramsamouj, Salma, Guggen, Marjorie Lemons, Marinese Hutchinson, Lovely Loris, Evelyn Butler, Marjorie Lemons. Thank you so much. Melrose Alley, and good evening. Thought I'd missed your question, but I got it. Pearly Underwood, Gillette Dennis of Fraser. Thank you. Rose Thomas. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks to those who just listened in and those who had questions. Don Morris, thank you. And Marjorie, I hope you can find out where your grandpa came from. Angela Quinn, good evening to you. Thank you for coming on in. And Pearlie, make sure you reach out to her, all right? Georgia Law 21 at gmail.com. Again, that's Georgia Law 21 at gmail.com. And make sure you keep those papers, guys. Don't throw them out. You don't know when you're going to need them. K-Bird, thank you for coming on in. Navian Davis, first time tuning in, Navian says, but found it to be an interesting show. It is. And it's going to help a lot of people. And the good thing about it is that it's not only relegated to one state, but because it is a federal matter, she can represent you in any of the 50 states of the United States of America. Thank you so much, guys. It was nice being here with you tonight. God bless you. Walk good. And we'll catch up again real soon. Bye-bye. Thanks again, Attorney Georgia Lawrence. Thank you. God bless you, sis.
Can I take a moment to tell you about an affordable, accredited, and friendly place that will educate, equip, and develop you into a leader that will impact the world? That place is Emmett Global Theological Seminary and College. Emmett means truth in Hebrew, and for those seeking a training ground that prepares real people for ministry in a real world, Emmett is here for you. With fully online classes at emmettseminary.com, you can choose from 32 specialized certificate courses, Diploma of Theology, Associate of Theology, Bachelor of Theology, Master of Theology, Master of Sacred Studies, Doctor of Sacred Studies, and Doctor of Theology degree programs. Emmett Seminary offers exceptional biblical education from some of the world's leading educators in an environment which fosters higher learning both spiritually and intellectually for career, ministry, and character development. Visit emmettseminary.com today for more information on one of the most extraordinary values ever offered in Christian higher education. That's emmettseminary.com. EMET seminary.com. Our site is very user-friendly, and advisors are ready to help. emmettseminary.com. Delivering absolute Bible truth in this eon.
Hey, tell a friend to tell a friend that K. Anthony endorses CGR FM.